Ooh. Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have something a bit different. It's Lady Gaga with Bruno Mars, a song called Die With A Smile. This is the official music video. I opened YouTube and this popped up. It was released about half a day ago at the time of this recording, so it's very new. I'm not sure how or why the algorithm decided to show it to me. I don't listen to or watch either of Lady Gaga or Bruno Mars, but I do know their music. I used to listen to Bruno Mars quite a bit especially, so I thought I'd give it a go. The reason is because even though I have a humongous list of recommendations, sometimes it's so overwhelming that you just can't decide what to do. I did have a song in mind and that's why I came onto YouTube, but this popped up, the thumbnail really caught my attention and I just thought let's give it a go. Both of these artists are massive artists. Everyone would have heard songs by both of them. Lady Gaga's done a fair bit of acting recently too. I've seen her in various shows or films, and of course they're both extraordinary singers. They are behemoths of songwriters. They definitely know how to write hits, and that's why I'm interested in this. I know nothing about the song. I've never heard of the song. I don't know if this is the actual official release or if it's just the music video release. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
I just woke up from a dream where you and I had to say goodbye, and I don't know what it all means, but since I survived I realized wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow, so I'ma love you every night like it's the last night, like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through, I'd wanna hold you just for a while and die with a smile. If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
7.
Oh, love.
This is amazing. So smooth. I mean, I guess I kind of expected it from the thumbnail. That's why it caught my attention. So smooth, and they're just so cool, and I have a lot to talk about in terms of the music, the harmony itself, and other things. I love the aesthetic, and this, for example, the set as well. And yeah, they just look very cool, both in these kind of quasi-retro western outfits. Very 60s, they're taking center stage on the guitar, on the keys. Yeah, really nice aesthetic. Alright, well, I think let's get into the music, talk about what we've heard so far before continuing. If you're not interested in hearing my analysis, go to the timestamp. I like it, straight in with Bruno's voice. Yeah, I've not heard his voice in a while. It's really crazy. It's one of these unique voices with an incredibly high chest voice, and he can seamlessly transition into and through the blended voice into his head voice. He's powerful, he's in tune, he has immense voice control. A great singer. I really rate his singing voice, so it's a nice little reintroduction to him. The melody, I find it very catchy, and I've noticed that it is mostly based around one note, and that is this note, a C sharp. I'll get into why in a bit more detail after this. So the first verse, we have 2 lines repeated.
I just woke up from a dream
Nice melodic shape, rising and falling.
where you and I had to say goodbye.
Fluttering on either side of that repeated note, but always returning to that note. And then in the second verse, or the bridge, or the pre-chorus maybe you'd call it, again returning to that same note.
Follow, nobody's promised to.
This is the first time where it doesn't happen, on Tomorrow. I've said in many previous videos of mine that a repeated note will nearly always be catchy when used well. It's familiar, we expect it, it's easy to remember, unlike some crazy complex melody going up and down and all over the shop, and especially in this song, it does not seem boring. That's because of the harmonic progressions we hear. So the chord changes and in which order they come, basically. And in other words, the harmony. Before I get into the harmony though, I just love the melodies. We have this swooning on Follow and Tomorrow. And Tomorrow is a repetition and they move up in pitch.
Oh, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow.
The vocal harmonies around the melody move in parallel motion with the melody as well. So you can think of that sort of as if you're on the piano and you have your hand in a shape like with 3 notes, like that. And then you play and then down, up. They stay an equal distance away from each other and move in the same motion as each other.
If the world was ending, I'd wanna be
I just think it's really catchy. The repeated note on world and end.
next to you.
And that just makes me want to sing along. Well, I hope it's the same for you. He gets some head voice in there. But Bruno, with his very high chest voice, he switches very obviously from his chest voice into his head voice and then back down. So onto the harmony. What's really interesting is every single chord we've heard so far, pretty much, is a 7th chord. To explain what a 7th chord is, we'll use the chord A as an example. There are 8 notes in between, which is 1 octave. So this is note 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your standard chord is notes 1, 3, and 5. There you can see A major. And then a 7th chord is where you just have the 7th note in there as well. A major 7th. So the 7th note is right from the off. Listen how prominent it is. It's the loudest note. Dum, dum. And then when it changes chord, that's this note, which is the 7th note of the chord it changes to. So these 7th notes, they're not even subtle, they're just very obvious, in your face. We alternate between these 2 7th chords for the whole first verse. And then for the pre-chorus bit, we get some new chords in there. It's that bit where we stop returning to that same note for the first time.
Wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow.
The note that we were constantly returning to earlier, the C sharp, why it's funny that now is the time we stop returning to it is because of the chord that's playing. It's a C sharp minor 7 chord. What a chord to choose to move away from the repeated C sharp. So then we get this bit quite loud, powerful, and he sings the word die. And it's basically the only chord we've heard so far that's not a 7th chord. It's just a regular A chord. A, major, usually associated with happy. On the word die, but the lyrics are die with a smile, so quite fitting in an ironic sort of way. There's no 7th note, but it isn't a standard chord because what note do we hear? It's this one, the 2nd note, which is called the supertonic. I'll just hop over to the piano and show you the chords that we've heard so far in order. That was quite a lot to go over there. Really, really interesting harmony and I really, really like it. Let's carry on. We just had Lady Gaga coming in with a solo, it looked like.
Lost in the words that we scream. I don't even want to do this anymore. 'Cause you already know what you mean to me. And our love's the only war worth fighting for.
Wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow.
Nice song. Nice song. I really liked this bit as well.
Was through you just for a while.
In unison with each other, very nice. Yeah, I'm so pleasantly surprised with this. I'm very interested if this is going to be a popular song or not, if people like it. A lot of the top songs that I see are most popular, I don't really listen to them, but definitely a different style to this a lot of the time. Lady Gaga, her voice, it works so nicely, especially with the bass guitar. Here, for example, they're moving homophonically together, so they're moving at the same time, in the same rhythms.
Lost in the words that we scream.
And Bruno's voice, because of how high set it is, it just works so well in acting as a harmonic partner for Lady Gaga.
'Cause you already know what you mean to me.
For reference, here he's singing at the top of a choral tenor's expected range, so it's pretty high, and the key element here is that he's using his chest voice, his full voice.
Our love's the only war worth fighting for.
And there, he just does it so easily. That's just one note below what I call the wow operatic tenor moment. And Lady Gaga too. Such power in her respective register, obviously a bit higher up, but she is using a blended voice.
And our love's the only war.
So a mix of the chest voice and the head voice for more power as she's moving higher. From a harmony standpoint, I love their harmony here because it's a bit peculiar.
Wherever you go, that's where.
Their two notes are these two. The chord underneath is a D chord. So they are singing the non-standard notes, the seventh note, and then the second note, the supertonic, but we can think of it as the ninth note. They are really exaggerating the funkiness of the harmony by choosing these two in this chord. You see when we bring them together, that's what it looks like. Okay, then there was this bit, which also might sound a little bit funny to you. We did have it in the first verse as well, but now what I'm about to play, it's a bit more obvious because of Lady Gaga's part.
So I'ma love you every night like it's the last night. Like it's the last night.
So two things are happening here that are really causing some additional tension in the music. Firstly, there's more suspense because they're using something very appropriately named a suspension, which basically means they're suspending a note and delaying its arrival in the chord. This is the chord, but this note is being suspended and arriving late, so this is the suspension. And if I play the suspended note, you can see it's called a suspended fourth because it's the fourth note that is being suspended and then moves to the third note. So the chord is F sharp major, as you can see. But on top of this suspension, Lady Gaga goes to the minor.
Like it's the last night.
She ends on this note, which is part of F sharp minor. So we have this minor and major clash, which sounds like that. Naturally, it causes tension because it's a bit, ugh. But then on the repeat,
Like it's the last night.
then she does go to the major. It's just very catchy, isn't it? Even all the different instrumental lines.
I've been next to you.
Nice little guitar riff too, very simple bass line. Doesn't need to be fancy, just to provide harmonic stability underneath everything else. Nice chilled tempo as well, it's not too quick. Perfect for creating this kind of bouncy or lully effect. And both Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars are creating this swelling effect. They're sliding between notes, stressing the high notes a bit more than the lower ones.
If the party was over and
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Let's carry on till the end.
next to you. Right next to you. Next to you. Right next to you.
If the world was ending, I'd wanna be next to you.
wanna be next to you.
I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really, really good. I'm going to be listening to this a lot more. A real pleasant surprise. I don't know why it's pleasantly surprised. Maybe because of Lady Gaga's most popular songs like Poker Face in a slightly different style. This does seem much more in kind of line with Bruno Mars' style from what I know, but I don't know either of them that well. Yeah, I don't want to go on too much more, but there's just a handful of things just to quickly mention before we wrap up. For this final section, what they do structurally really good. They have this back and forth between them both, and then they both join in harmony.
Right next to you. Right next to you.
I get the feeling this would be a good karaoke song as a duo with two really great singers. He then goes up. And if we go forward a tiny bit, we can really subtly hear those two notes repeating. Really quickly. Kind of like a siren, almost quite trippy in a way. Then there's this really nice reduction to the piano dominated part.
I wanna be next to you.
It's an easy and effective way of getting a chorus repetition in, but a bit varied, a bit of variety. And it's a nice touch as well, having Bruno now providing the higher harmonies. And there was another bit that I found really catchy. Let's find it.
I wanna hold you just for a while.
And then finally, they've opted for different chords on this repetition. So instead of the chord at this point, which we had before every time, this E chord, they're using this. You saw the notes are similar between the two chords. Every major chord has a related minor chord. They use the same scale as each other. So that's what they've done here. They've used the minor related chord. Opting for the minor, it's a bit of a darker approach. It also sets up the ending rather nicely with the chords that follow. And finally, to really rub in the idea of how almost every chord has been a seventh chord, Bruno ends singing the seventh note.
I wanna be next to you.
Well, there we go. I'm not going to repeat myself. I don't have anything more to say. Really enjoyed that. Very pleasantly surprised. Gonna go away and listen. Really cool video aesthetic. The thumbnail caught my attention. Very, very happy. I did not know waking up this morning that I'd be discovering a new Lady Gaga Bruno Mars song. Yeah, let's leave that one there. Well, as always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe and a comment for any recommendations for other songs you'd like to see me do. If you're new to this channel or not and you enjoy my content and want to support me, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now. Join the community, get access to exclusive perks, and I will see you next time.